If you're over 60 and your eyeliner keeps disappearing, smudging, or somehow making your eyes look smaller instead of more awake, this is the exact technique I use on mature and hooded lids that actually lasts all day. And there's a second trick coming in a few minutes that almost nobody teaches, one I only ever showed clients one-on-one in person, because it's that easy to miss and that easy to fix once you know it. Hi, I'm Jennifer, and welcome back to Stylish 60 Plus. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now, because every single week I'm sharing real techniques for eyeliner on mature eyes, soft color for hooded lids, and beauty over 60 that nobody else is teaching. Not the impossible Instagram looks made for 25-year-olds under professional lighting, real practical beauty for real women. I want to tell you about a client I'll call Barbara, because I think about her every time I teach this. Barbara sat in my chair a few years ago and she told me, almost apologetically, that she hadn't worn eyeliner in nearly a decade. Not because she didn't want to, because every single time she tried, by the time she left the house, it had vanished into her crease, smudged along her lower lash line, or somehow made her eyes look smaller instead of brighter. At some point, she just stopped trying and told herself eyeliner simply wasn't for her anymore. 40 minutes later, after we worked through exactly what I'm about to show you, she looked in the mirror and went completely silent. Then she said, "I didn't know my eyes could still look like this." That's the moment that convinced me this needed to be taught properly, once and for all, to every woman who feels exactly the way Barbara did. If that's you right now, sister, I see you. I have watched hundreds of beautiful, mature women stand in front of a mirror, defeated, holding a pencil they don't trust anymore. And here's what I need you to really hear before we go any further. It's not that your technique got worse over the years. It's that your eyes changed quietly and gradually, and nobody ever updated the instructions for you. Give this video a thumbs up right now if you've ever felt like eyeliner just isn't for you anymore. I read every single comment, and I promise you, you are not alone in this, not even close. Here's what nobody tells you, and it's not your imagination. As we move past 60, our eyelids naturally soften and can hood slightly, our skin loses a bit of its tightness, and the harsh, sharp lines that looked incredible on us in our 20s and 30s now do the opposite of what we want. They drag, they shadow, they can make us look tired on days when we actually feel wonderful. Most eyeliner tutorials online are filmed by women who have never once dealt with a hooded lid or a line that vanishes the second their eyes open. That's exactly why this channel exists, and exactly why I built this technique from scratch for us. Now, before I show you anything else, I want you to really watch this next part carefully, because this is the mistake I saw over and over again working with mature clients in person. And it has nothing to do with your eyeliner color, your steadiness, or how much practice you've had. Most of us focus entirely on the top lash line and completely forget what's happening underneath. If you look closely at your own eyes right now, you may notice a pale, exposed strip of skin just beneath your lower lashes, right along that inner rim. It's not a flaw, and it never was. It's just skin that was always there, but in our younger years, our lash line sat close enough that it never showed. As we've matured, that little strip becomes visible, and it quietly interrupts the whole eye. You can do a flawless smoky shadow, a beautiful soft wing, absolutely everything right on top, and still feel like something's a little off, like the look isn't finished even though you did everything correctly. That gap is why almost nobody talks about this, and it changes everything once you actually see it in your own mirror. So here is the sneaky trick. The one Barbara still messages me about years later. Once your eye look is finished on top, take that same pencil, whatever shade you used, and very gently color in that inner strip beneath your lower lashes. Not the waterline, just that visible band of skin right at the base of the lower lashes. This is not about drawing a bold line down there. Think of it as closing a gap that's been quietly working against you. When you do this, the entire eye reads as one continuous finished shape, instead of two disconnected pieces sitting side by side. Hold that thought, because in a moment I'm going to walk you through exactly how to build the color on top so this trick has something beautiful to connect to. But first, let's count down the 5 habits that are quietly working against most of us, because chances are you're doing at least one of these right now without even realizing it. We'll go from the smallest issue to the one that changes absolutely everything. Number 5 on our list, wrong brush size. A brush that's too large sacrifices the precision this whole approach depends on. A small, dense brush or even a humble cotton swab from your bathroom drawer will outperform a big, fluffy one every single time we do this technique. Number 4, applying with too heavy a hand right from the start. It's tempting to want dramatic results immediately, especially if it's been years since you've worn liner at all. But you can always add more color later, and it's far harder to take it away once it's there. Start lighter than feels necessary, always. Number 3, curling your lashes at the wrong point in your routine. If you curl after your liner is done, the curler can catch and smudge everything you just carefully built. Curl first, always, then move on to mascara. Number 2, choosing your liner shade to match your outfit instead of your actual eye color. This one quietly undercuts everything else you do correctly, because the wrong undertone can make even perfect technique look strangely flat and lifeless. And number 1, the biggest one, the mistake that undoes every other step no matter how well you execute it, skipping the primer entirely. This is the habit I want you to break today above every other, and in a moment I'll show you exactly why it matters this much. Let's build this properly now, step by step, starting with that number 1 issue. Prep your eyes with a lightweight eye primer using your ring finger in a gentle patting motion, never rubbing. Your ring finger naturally applies the lightest pressure of any finger, which matters more with every year that passes because the skin around our eyes becomes noticeably more delicate over time. Take that primer from your lash line all the way up to your brow bone. This single step is the entire reason your makeup lasts all day instead of disappearing by 2 in the afternoon, and it's what stops color from settling into fine lines throughout the day. It also makes your eyeshadow color look truer and richer the way it looked in the pan instead of muted and patchy once it's on your skin. Now let's answer the question I get asked constantly in the comments section, the one that comes up almost every single week. What's the best eyeliner color for mature eyes? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on your eye color, and this is where I want you to let go of something you've relied on for decades without questioning it. Pure black liner, the one we all reached for automatically since we were teenagers, can actually be too harsh for mature eyes. Softer, richer tones work with you instead of against you. Green eyes come alive with a warm, deep brown, something like a creamy gel pencil that glides on without tugging at delicate skin. Blue eyes look absolutely stunning against a soft charcoal gray because it makes the blue pop without ever looking severe or heavy. Brown eyes are the lucky ones here. Almost anything works beautifully, though I always recommend starting with a soft brown pencil because it's the most universally forgiving. And If you have hazel eyes, reach for a deep plum or burgundy, ideally in a slightly creamier formula, to pull out those golden flecks in the most beautiful way. Comment below with your eye color right now, because I genuinely want to know which shade you're going to try tonight. While we're answering questions, let's cover a few more that land in my inbox constantly. Should you tight line or use a regular liner after 60? Tight lining, which means lining that very top rim between your lashes, can absolutely work, but only if your hand is steady and your formula is soft enough not to tug at the skin. For most of us, a slightly softer approach along the visible lash line itself, which is exactly what we're building today, gives you nearly the same definition with far less risk of pulling on delicate tissue. And if you're standing in the drugstore aisle wondering whether to reach for a soft pencil or a harder one, softer wins almost every time after 60. A pencil that glides rather than drags protects your skin and gives you far more control, especially once we get to the dot and blend method I'm about to show you. One more before we move on, because I know a lot of you are typing this exact phrase into search bars. How do you keep eyeliner from creasing on hooded lids specifically? Part of the answer is the primer we just covered. The other part is coming up in just a moment, and it might be the single most important piece of this entire video for anyone with a hooded lid For your shadow base, build it in 2 simple tones rather than reaching for 10 different products. Sweep a soft mid-tone shade across the lid first, keeping it light and even. Then, using a smaller, denser brush, press a deeper shade into the outer corner and blend it back toward the crease, sweeping it close to the upper lashes. Keep it soft and a little imperfect on purpose. If it looks a bit heavy anywhere, that's completely fine, because shadow is forgiving in a way liner simply isn't. Now, for the liner itself, and this is where I want you to forget everything you think you know, because we are not drawing a line today. I'm going to say that again because it genuinely matters. We are not drawing a line, we are creating a shadow. Take your pencil, ideally that creamy soft formula we just talked about, and instead of one long confident stroke, place small dots right between the lashes, as close to the roots as physically possible. You're not tracing an edge, you're simply filling the tiny gaps between each lash with color. It will look imperfect while you're doing it, and that's exactly right, because slight imperfection here reads as completely natural once it's blended out. Wait until you see what this looks like once we soften it, because this next part is where the entire transformation actually happens. Take a small flat brush or even a simple cotton swab and gently blend those dots in small circular motions. You are not erasing what you just placed, you are softening its edges until it looks like a natural shadow rather than an applied line. This is the step most women rush through, and it's the one I'd ask you to slow down on more than any other single step in this video. Watch the harsh dots melt into something that looks like it was simply always part of your eye. If you find you've blended away too much definition, that's not a mistake, that's simply an invitation to add a few more dots and blend again. You genuinely cannot ruin this technique, because every single layer is soft enough to correct. If you're finding this helpful so far, this is a wonderful moment to hit that subscribe button, because what's coming next solves the single most common complaint I hear from mature clients, and I don't want you to miss it. Here's the real answer to that creasing and disappearing question I promised you. Immediately above where you just placed your liner, blend a transition shade just slightly deeper than your natural skin tone using a soft, fluffy brush. Sweep it upward and outward into the crease. Without this step, your beautiful line work can completely disappear the moment your eyes are open, which is exactly what was happening to Barbara for years without her understanding why. With it, the definition holds even when your lid naturally covers part of what you did underneath. And finally, the step that genuinely makes you look more awake, not just more made up. Using your ring finger again, pat a soft champagne or warm gold highlight into the inner corner of your eye and just beneath the arch of your brow. Watch closely what this does. It's like switching on a light behind your eyes. Keep it subtle. If someone can identify exactly where you put highlighter, it's too much. The goal is for people to notice your eyes look beautiful, not to notice your products. Before we get to eye shapes, one more question worth answering because it comes up every time I post an eye look. Does this technique work for evening or just daytime? For daytime, keep everything exactly as soft as we've built it here. That's the whole point, effortless and polished without looking like you're wearing much at all. For an evening out, a dinner, a wedding, any occasion where you want a touch more presence, simply deepen your transition shade slightly and add one more thin layer of dots along the outer third of the lash line before blending. You are not changing the technique, you are just intensifying it a little, and it still reads as elegant rather than heavy, which is exactly the balance mature eyes look best in. Let's talk about adjusting this for your specific eyes, because a technique that ignores your unique shape isn't really finished advice. If your eyes are deep set, use an even lighter hand with the liner and lean more heavily on that highlight step, because deep set eyes already carry natural shadow and don't need much more added. If your lids are hooded, that transition shade above your liner is not optional. It's the entire reason this technique works for you specifically, so bring it slightly higher than feels necessary at first. If your eyes are rounder, you can extend the outer dots very slightly past the corner to soften that shape into more of an almond. And if you have almond eyes already, this technique will look beautiful with barely any adjustment at all needed. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, and it's one of the most common questions I get asked after people try this for the first time. What do you do if you need a touch-up later in the day? Keep a single cotton swab and a tiny bit of your primer in your bag, nothing more elaborate than that. If you notice any softening by the afternoon, dab a little primer along the area first, let it set for a few seconds, then reinforce with the same dot and blend motion we practiced this morning. You are not starting over, you are simply reinforcing what's already there, and it takes under 30 seconds standing at any bathroom mirror. And since we're talking tools, let's talk mascara for a moment, because this technique deserves lashes that match its effort. After you curl, reach for a volumizing formula with a slightly curved wand and apply it working from root to tip in a gentle wiggling motion rather than one straight sweep. For lashes that have thinned with time, that wiggling motion catches far more of what you have left than a single stroke ever will. A creamy, buildable formula also resists the flaking that drier mascaras tend to leave in fine lines beneath the eye by midday, which matters just as much as the liner itself for the finished look holding up. I want to be honest with you about something now, because this channel has never been about pretending mature beauty is simple when some mornings it truly isn't. There are days when your hands feel less steady than they used to. There are mornings when the light in your bathroom isn't doing you any favors, when you look at yourself and just feel tired before you've even started your routine. I understand that completely, more than you might realize. But this is exactly why a forgiving, buildable technique matters more than a flawless, high-pressure one ever could. You don't need a perfectly steady hand for dots and soft blending. You need patience. And you already have that in abundance because you've spent decades taking care of everyone else first. This is 5 minutes just for you. And once you've practiced this a handful of times, the entire process, both the eye look and that sneaky lower lash line trick together, takes under a minute. Not per eye, total. That's not a promise I make lightly. That's simply what happens once your hands learn the motion the way they've learned everything else you've ever mastered. Look at the difference this makes. No harsh edge, no obvious line, no visible gap beneath the lashes pulling the whole eye apart. Just eyes that look brighter, more open, and genuinely finished in a way that feels entirely like you, only clearer, only more awake. This is the look I get complimented on constantly, and people genuinely ask if I've changed something with my skin. I haven't. It's this combination every single time, and it's exactly what happened for Barbara, and it can absolutely happen for you tonight in your own bathroom mirror. Comment the word hooded below right now if your liner tends to disappear the moment your eyes open, because I want to know how many of you are dealing with exactly what Barbara dealt with for all those years. And I'll be pulling the most common questions from the comments for a future video. Try this tonight in front of your mirror, both the dot and blend method and that lower lash line trick together, and tell me what you notice first. Did your eyes look more open? Did the color actually last through your whole evening? Next week, I'm finally covering something so many of you have been asking me about for months: the lip color choices that quietly age us without our ever realizing it. And the 3 shades every woman over 60 should have sitting in her makeup bag right now. I'm also going to show you the one application trick that makes any lipstick you already own look noticeably more expensive and last through an entire dinner without a single touch-up. You will not want to miss that one, so make sure you're subscribed before you go. Because here's what I know for certain after all these years of doing this: the woman who walked into my chair feeling like eyeliner simply wasn't for her anymore is the very same woman who walked out unable to stop looking at herself in the mirror. That transformation isn't rare, and it isn't luck. It's just information nobody ever handed you until now. Beauty over 60 was never about chasing 25 again. It's about elegance, confidence, and knowing exactly which small techniques make the biggest difference. Age is genuinely just a number, and there is no expiration date on looking and feeling beautiful. Like this video, subscribe to Stylish 60 Plus, and I will see you next week with more timeless beauty secrets made specifically